Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kectil YouTube channel. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Edvard Grigoryan from Armenia, who is participant in the Kectil Program 2024 and recently became a co-founder of the Kectil Armenia. But before we start, let me remind our audience that, as always, with you, Oleksandra Fomin, the content creator of this YouTube channel. Edward, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time. And could you please tell our audience about you more and introduce you as much as possible and share more information?
Okay, Alexandra, thank you very much for inviting me. It is a great pleasure for me to be here and speak with you. From my side, I would start saying that I am a Kectil colleague and recent co-founder of Kectil Armenia. Why I decided to join the Kectil network, it was really important for me when I have heard about Kectil program and I have learned what Kectil goals are and what Kectil does. I instantly felt that it's for me. Kectil program is creating the authentic leaders, and I think it resonates with me. That's why I decided to join and put my investment in the Kectil program and in the network as well. I'm specializing in international relations, and recently I chose the direction of conflict resolution and peace building. I think in this chaotic world now, the conflict resolution profession is really important. That's why I decided to choose that direction. In Armenia, I'm working in the social field. I am Young European Ambassador working with EU Neighbors East program. I was a board member of the Young European Ambassadors last year, and I was also Youth Delegate to the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe. Currently, I'm doing my volunteering in France through European Solidarity Corps program, working in SEMEA Pays de la Loire region. Yeah.
Wow, a lot of programs, a lot of things. I just curious, how you manage everything? Do you have time for just your life, for just doing things that you would like to do?
Actually, I think that everything that I do is serving to Armenian society, and I really feel pleasure when I'm doing something that is good, that is bringing positive change. It really makes me happy and motivated to continue my work.
Wow, got it, got it. As far as I know, right now and last years, Armenia goes through difficult period with conflicts with neighbor country. Am I right? Could you share a bit about this conflict too?
Yes, this conflict is a really strong and important thing for whole Armenian nation. I would like to start to say that I'm coming from a region that is close to the border, and my home city is also close to the border, so I managed to be influenced from the conflict and really feel the conflict and war. Armenia is currently in the conflict with Azerbaijan over the territory called Nagorno-Karabakh, which is a disputed territory between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And how the conflict was created, it was the result of the Soviet Union. The Soviet government decided to give the territory, Nagorno-Karabakh, to one of the countries, and the conflict started. The territory was disputed. Both nations were refused to live there during Soviet times. When we got rid of the Soviet Union, currently the two countries started fighting for that territory.
Wow.
All the countries engaged in the region try to use this conflict to control both countries, both Armenia and Azerbaijan. And we all understand that the only way to get rid of the influence in the region and start developing our countries is to get rid of the conflict and create peace in the region.
Wow, thank you for sharing this information. And I guess, as our viewers already understood, today we will talk about conflict in your country and about your youth leadership in your country. Have you still how are you still are persistent with that? How are you fighting with that? And what are you doing for your people in your country? How you can change and how other global communities can help you in that. So you mentioned that you were born in the city that close to the border and close to the conflict. Could you share, please, how it affected on your professional inspiration? As I understood, thankful to that, you're doing a lot of projects right now for your people and volunteering as well. Am I right?
Yes, Alexandra, completely right. I was born in Sevan, which is really close to the border, and Varkanis, the city where the overshootings over happened, is just 20-30 minutes drive from my city. And I felt the influence of the conflict on me. From a young age, I was hearing the shootings. Like in 2016, we had 4 days war. In 2020, we had 44 days war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And from these events, I was deeply influenced, both professionally and personally, because my brother was one of them, or one of the soldiers who was fighting in the war. So my family fully was engaged in the problem. And during the war, we were extremely worried until my brother got back home. And there were many families whose children didn't got home. So I think you fully understand that, being from
Yes.
Ukraine, and that is terrible. And that influenced me both personally and professionally. And I decided to choose the profession of international relations and conflict resolution to research how the nations in the world managed to solve the conflicts, like the European Union. We know that in the history there were many issues in the Europe as well, but they managed to solve the issue. That's why I decided to choose the conflict resolution path and try to become a proper professional who will be able to at least promote the solving of the conflict.
Wow, that's really fantastic. We have a bit similar topic for discussion as we right now in my country face with the huge war with Russia Federation, and also some of my brothers and some of my relatives include and in that fighting, and they are right now in the front line, and at the same time understand how it's to be in that conditions, in that circumstances where um, when your people are genocide by other country. And about if we're talking about genocide, I have a curious question to you. Why do Armenians around the world continue to commemorate April 24th as the day of the Armenian genocide? Could you please share more information about that? What was in that date in 1915, and how does this commemoration related to contemporary issue right now?
Yeah, that is the issue until today, I would say. Genocide is currently happening, but it is a historical thing as well that Armenian nation suffered from a lot. In the history, Armenia was occupied by many countries, and there was time when Armenia was under the influence of Ottoman Empire, Turkish Ottoman Empire, and in 1915, Turkey decided to genocide Armenians and get rid from them and occupy all the territories that Armenians live, because Armenian nation was disturbing them to own that whole territory of Armenia, and they decided to kill all Armenians. And it happened in April 24. It was a long process, but on April 24, the heads, I would say, of the government, the leaders, Armenian leaders who were able to join the whole nation and fight, they were killed on the center of the cities on April 24th. That's why we commemorate April 24th as a day of Armenian genocide. It is the historical events, and there is pan-Turkism ideology of pan-Turkism, that all Turkish nations, including Turks, Azerbaijanians, Kazakhs, Turkmens, all those nations should unite together. And if you imagine on the map, the only way to unite it, get rid from Armenia. Armenia is in the middle of Turkey and Azerbaijan, and we are the country that doesn't allow the cooperation between them, because both of them, the two countries, close the borders with Armenia. And occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh recently after 2020 war was aimed at this. two Turkish nations just want to join each other and occupying Nagorno-Karabakh and demanding the corridor from Armenia is the goal to cooperate and create pan-Turkic idea to unite all Turkish nations together. Armenia is a Christian nation between two Turkish nations who is trying to keep its sovereignty currently.
Okay, I got it. And I just got another curious question related to Nagorno-Karabakh. Just for our viewers, could you please explain why this territory is so valuable for Armenia and for Azerbaijan as well? Is there any resources that government can use for export or some other things, or it is just due to Soviet Union territory dividing, as you mentioned in the start of our discussion?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. It is important to mention for Armenian side, it is first of all important because it is historical Armenian territory. We had Nagorno-Karabakh and we call it Artsakh region, which was part of Armenia for historical time. For many centuries, our nation, our ancestors lived there, and we have a lot of historical truths. We are Christian nations, and in the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh, we have a lot of churches and historical legacy of all Armenian nation. The territory is the territory of our ancestors, and it is really important for us to keep the territory and keep it populated by Armenians. It is part of our motherland. And from the resources point of view, there are a lot of water resources in Nagorno-Karabakh, a lot of water resources that can be used for creating also the electricity. Also, we have gold resources in Nagorno-Karabakh. The territory is important from this point of view for Armenia, but from Azerbaijani point of view, the territory gives the opportunity to connect with small corridor with Turkey that they demand right now. It will be a short corridor through the southern border of Armenia that was included in the peace agreement in November between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But currently, negotiations are ongoing, and for Armenia, giving that corridor, it would be a terrible decision. That's why we are trying to keep the southern territory fully under the influence of Armenia and not give that corridor to Azerbaijan.
I got it. Thank you for sharing it, and thank for getting more clear information why this territory is so important and why due to this territory your country with the neighbor country still has a conflict. So given Armenia's side and its history of conflict, it's crucial to actively engage in international programs to address these issues. And as far as I know, you are also attending a lot of projects, as you mentioned already. Could you please share your involvement in the international projects as a young leader and diplomat in Europe and the United States, and discuss the outcomes you achieved through this initiative for your people and for your country?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, Alexandra. It is really important for me to represent Armenia on the international field. And I understood it from the point I was studying international relations at Yerevan State University in Armenia, and I decided to do my Erasmus exchange. I went to Czech Republic and started my Erasmus exchange at Masaryk University, representing Armenia and speaking about Armenia, issues of Armenia that need to be solved. Later, when I came back with a lot of experience and knowledge back to Armenia, I joined the Erasmus Student Network. It was the network all over the Europe, joining 44 countries together and working on the basis of students helping students. We were accepting students from abroad, and we were sending students to study abroad from Armenia. Secondly, important event that I participated was Corridor Summer School. It was based on the idea of peace education capacity development in South Caucasus. It gathered the representatives from South Caucasus, the four nations, and we were discussing the issue of peace, and I would say we reached some peace between each other. We started understanding each other as young leaders from countries that are fighting together. I would say the next event will be Alpbach, European Forum Alpbach, which gathers 4,000 people in the Austrian Alps. each year, and I participated last year. The next one would be this August. This event commemorates a lot of activities like seminars, and it is developing the capacities and knowledge of young leaders from around the world. The last year, I chose two important topics for me. Military leadership, which was conducted by the Military Academy of Austria, and influence of the war in Ukraine on the Eastern Partnership. It was very important for me to discuss the issue and find out the connections on the influence of the Eastern Partnership. And we really discussed it, and it was really informative for me. Next one would, I would say, was the Carter School program. It was in Washington, D.C., United States, organized by Carter School of Peace and Conflict Resolution. And for around half a month or 15 days, we were in Washington, D.C. In March this year, and we were discussing the issues of peace. It was really, really important issue for me because Carter School is one of the most important institutes, and it gave me a lot of knowledge in the field. The next one I would say would be the Youth Delegate mandate at the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe, where I learned a lot of things on the diplomatic field. On the international level, we have discussed a number of issues connected with Armenia, with Nagorno-Karabakh, with exodus and killing of the population, and I was really able to represent Armenia, and I was so happy to be engaged in that field.
Wow, you shared a lot of programs. I guess we need to mention all of them in the description of this video because, to be honest, I don't remember first two, but I remember last two that you mentioned. I am just so impressive of your enthusiasm and your passion, and of course, goal for what you're doing. That could you please share for our viewers some key takeaways from that experience, from all of these programs? Just top 3 of them you can mention, please.
Yeah, sure. I would go first with the mandate of Youth Delegate to the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe, which was my first mandate as a representative, as diplomatic representative of Armenia in an international organization. And I was speaking on the name of Youth of Armenia, and it was so exciting for me because I felt like a leader who is passing on the voice of Youth of Armenia. It was important to discuss the issues on that level and understand why the Armenian government and the Azerbaijani government can't get along and discuss the topics like the territorial issues together and find out the solutions. And to my surprise, I discovered many drawbacks, many issues that can be solved in the diplomatic field to reach the consensus and bring the peace. I would say that this mandate gave me also opportunity to be a member of the observation mission of the Congress to Yerevan. In 2021, we had the elections in Yerevan, in which I participated as a member of observation mission of the Congress, and I discovered the political processes inside Armenia as well, being a youth delegate and speaking with the governmental representatives from that point of view. It gave me also the opportunity to discuss the issue with another young leaders from the world. It was Rejuvenating Politics Initiative, which brought together like 46 young leaders from all over the world, all member countries, and we were able to discuss many issues, including the conflicts on international level. For the next one, I would like to mention the Carter School of Peace and Conflict Resolution, which was important, my first diplomatic event in the Washington, D.C. It was really, really important because it was conducted by Carter School, which is the biggest analytical institute on peace and conflict resolution in the world. And I was so excited to participate because in George Mason University, I encountered a number of people who are specialized in the field of conflict resolution, the field I'm so excited about. And we visited a number of institutes. We visited USIP, United States Institute of Peace, and we visited State Department of the United States, and we discussed a number of territorial issues connected with the South Caucasus, with the representatives of governmental institutes. It was important for me to discuss the issue also with the members of the region. We had representatives from Azerbaijan, from Armenia, Georgia, from South Ossetia, and Abkhazia. And these people were very excited to discuss the issues and find out common solutions that can benefit us all. Also, I'm so happy to mention also that we have follow-up projects funded by the US embassies in Armenia and Azerbaijan to do Armenian Azerbaijani events, separate one, to bring together the societies and the young leaders of two countries to create and organize, implement an event and do something together. I think this approach can help us to understand each other's perspective and reach like solution. Also,
Yeah,
did you have
continue.
any question?
No.
Yeah.
Please continue.
And the last one, so the third one that I'm so excited about, it was the Hansen Leadership Institute program that will take place this year in California, San Diego University in July. And I will come to go to the United States again to participate in this program. And it is a program on international cooperation and conflict resolution in San Diego University. And it will gather the people from developing countries and discuss the common issues that we can find the solutions about. This is the program that I'm so excited about and waiting for that. And it makes me really, really excited. And I want to bring a change through networking. And I will find this network in these kind of programs for sure.
Wow, I'm still impressed of everything that you're doing for your people in your country, all your efforts for building peace in Armenia, and how you're doing everything in different programs, building really huge network, to be honest, between different international organization, and build this bridge between your people and other countries and international community that are able to help um, to get peace in your country, what is the most important thing, I guess, in today's life for a lot of countries, not only for Armenia, Ukraine, but also for Myanmar, for Sudan, Nigeria, and other countries around the world. And your evident commitment to peacebuilding at a young age indicate that you have already made significant contribution in this field, and your consistent attention to foreign political process is commendable. And I'm interested in hearing your opinion on the recent gathering of Antony Blinken, Ursula von der Leyen, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, if I'm not mistaken to pronounce it,
That's right.
and Joseph Borrell in Brussels. From your perspective, what are the expectations for Armenia and the region, which appears to be entrenched in persistent conflict?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. It was one of the most important meetings recently of the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. I think it was important from the perspective of having meeting with Western powers, the United States and European Union. These powers are capable to bring peace, I think. And during this meeting, it was important to discuss the issues of investment. Both United States and European Union decided to make a lot of investment in Armenia. And if we analyze, we can see that they are putting a lot of money in Armenia. And if one of the countries has financial resources implemented in one of the countries, it would like to have the peace and development in that country, stability in that country. This gives me a hope that these countries would like to see Armenia in peace and would do all possible to make Armenia a peaceful place and to put their effort in the solution of the conflict. I think that these countries can promote the peace in the region, and not only in Armenia and Azerbaijan. We have the unrest in Georgia as well, which should be addressed as well. And I think the peace from Armenian side is more wanted because Armenia is a democratic country which strives for development, and conflict is the only thing that keeps it away from developing. We need to get rid of this conflict, solve the conflict, open the borders, and start developing. Because I believe that Armenia, with the coming generation with huge potential, is capable of developing and thriving in the region.
And what specific steps do you believe are necessary to promote peace and stability in the South Caucasus region?
I think that there are several important steps that we want to take if we want to bring a peace in a region. First of all, that is the peace mindset through the education. In the schools and universities, we should teach people that peace is the only way that we can create the development. We can create the prosperity of the nation. And all the people should understand that hating each other is not bringing to a solution. We should understand that communities should not hate each other. We should cooperate to bring more results. And all the achievements in the world that we see, it is through the cooperation of nations. I would say the second step would be the economic cooperation. Armenia and Azerbaijan have close borders since the conflict started after the dissolution of the Soviet Union since 1991. And it is really important for me to open the regional communication. If we open the borders and Armenians and Azerbaijanis start to trade, the people would understand that we can have the advantages of cooperating with each other, sending some foods, some resources that we have in Armenia to Azerbaijan and receive some resources from Azerbaijan. It can result in creating the ideology that the war is not the way out. We can develop with the war. And if we open the economic cooperation with each other, it will create more initiatives to bring peace. I would say the next step would be the dialogue between societies. If we close the borders and we don't let Armenians and Azerbaijanis to communicate with each other, and I can meet only Azerbaijanis in international projects like the Kectil, and I think it's not the way that we should bring the peace. If the societies don't have the communication means, if they can't discuss the conflict, if the governments are the only ones discussing the conflict, it will not bring the solution. I think the solution is hidden, I would say, in the communication of communities, societies, nations, ordinary peoples like me and you communicating and trying to solve the conflict, not the governments. Governments are trying to get as much interest, as much gain in the negotiations as possible. And the last one, I would say the democracy. I think the real democracies never fight. And if we can create democracy in the countries that are trying to establish the war and gain the territories of another country, we can solve the conflict. Armenia is a democratic country with all it means, with the equality before the law, with democracy, with human rights and everything. It's hard to say the same about Azerbaijan. It has a dictatorship regime that doesn't allow people to have democracy, fair elections, to have human rights, basic rights of minorities. If we can solve this problem in Azerbaijan to try to help the ordinary people to achieve democracy, I think we can create the government from the new generation, new leaders that evolve in Azerbaijan, the government that wants peace.
I completely agree with you. I just listened to your all steps that you mentioned, and I was thinking, all the steps we can implement to other countries and scale it to other conflicts too. But the main cause, from my perspective of view, it is different mentality of people, how they are open for just solving the conflict, right? And also government structure, and the same time corruption, right?
Yeah.
Because we can have democracy, right? We can have everything in our countries, right? But at the same time, for example, like in Ukraine, we have really good president, we have really strong people that fighting for our freedom and our land, and at the same time we have democracy, right? But in the other side we have corruption, and this corruption stop develop all the steps that our young leaders, our politicians are doing in the same time for finishing this conflict and getting peace in our country. That other side for the discussion, but I guess we'll discuss about that in the other video. Just discussion about general corruption, what is that, and how to fight with that. But also, I'm interested in to hear your opinion. What role can young leaders like yourself play in fostering international dialogue and cooperation?
Yes, Alexandra, I'm fully agreed with you because it's important to fight the corruption in the country. I think that the unification of nation is the thing that a strong leader can do. If you unite the whole nation and every single person understands that the war is not the war of the Ukraine, of Armenia, it is the war of every single person in the country, we can get rid of corruption. We can get rid of all bad things that put us away from peace. I think that unification of the nation is the thing that young leaders can do. I think that we have the ideology of joining the nation together. If we can promote the ideology of nation, to promote the ideology that we are one nation who is trying to develop, who is trying to thrive, it will create the incentives of people to follow us as leaders because they will believe in our ideology. That is the first thing I would recommend for the young leaders to do. The second thing, I would say to use the initiatives and platforms like Kectil. The Kectil is a great opportunity to lead the dialogue with the people from the other conflict side. I know that in the Kectil we have the members from Azerbaijan as well. And I see the platform, the Kectil, also an opportunity to discuss the issue, to try to come up with solutions because the Kectil is providing the safe space to discuss, to speak, and not be followed with the governments, from the governments, and be worried that the things that we say will be turned against us. And the last one, I would say, the fighting against hate speech. I think that hate speech is really great issue today, and every nation in the war is going with hate speech and thinking that if we make the nation to hate the other side as much as the other side, we will win. But it's not that way. We have to promote the peace mindset. Peace mindset is the one leading to peace. I don't say that we don't need to fight, but we don't need to hate each other. The hatred is the one creating the conflict.
I completely agree with you. That's really good point that you mentioned. And we are almost going to finalizing our today interviews, and I have some more personal questions to you instead of the conflicts, policy making, and other things. I hope that next time we will record with you more deeper conversation, not only about Armenia, but about policymaking, how young leaders can do by themselves really impactful things in their communities and countries, how they can be involved in different projects and international organizations like you, and get participation of these projects. And during our today conversation, you mentioned a lot of a lot of projects, international projects that you're participating and participated. How many things you learned from that, and how this project helped your people to step into the peace building process, right? For young people, just for understanding how to build it and how to do it. And I'm just curious, how do you stay motivated and resilient in the face of obstacles or setbacks?
It was a really important question. I was recently asking that question to myself as well, because I was in the search of the source of this energy and motivation to do so many things for Armenia. And I understood that it comes from other youth that I have in Armenia. Other youth like me, young leaders, young activists who are fighting for our country, who are trying to bring change, who are trying to create the best conditions for Armenia and the Armenian nation to thrive, to develop. It motivates me. Every time I see the post of my friend, of my colleague, doing something good for Armenia, even in the farthest region in Armenia, like in a small village, but bringing a positive change. I'm so motivated and happy, and I really want to support and help that person to achieve the solution. And the second thing I would say that motivates me a lot, that would be the idea of strong, developed, and thriving vision of Armenia in the peaceful region. It is really important for me to have to see the strong Armenia thriving in the region and in the peace conditions.
And are there any specific projects or initiatives you're currently working on that you are particularly excited about? Could you share a bit about that?
Yes, sure. Currently, I'm working in several issues at the same time. That would be during my ESC volunteering here in France. I had just one goal coming here to research the issues of France and Germany. We know that in the history, France and Germany had a lot of issues and war, and European Union was founded on the idea of creating peace in Europe, and that fight for Alsace and Lotharingia, two regions between France and Germany, was solved through creating the European Union, and it brought the peace to the whole territory of Europe. I think if we can take this example and implement it in our region to create peace by creating the open borders, economic cooperation, and this was the main idea of coming here in France and researching this issue. I'm currently working in this one. The second one would be the theme of the Prime Minister of Armenia, that is the Armenian Transformation Strategy of 2015. We are researching and creating the strategy for Armenian development, and we are changing the Armenian foreign policy in different fields and different domains, and I am working with the staff of the Prime Minister currently. The third one would be the Kectil Armenia. It is really important for us. We recently, just a couple of days ago, opened the Kectil Armenia, and we are so excited with Gohar as co-founders to solve many international problems of Armenia through Kectil Armenia. It is really important to cooperate with other nations, with other people, and so strong leaders from the Kectil network to bring peace. And the fourth one is the College of Europe. Now I'm about to start my master's degree in Belgium in College of Europe, and I'm so excited and gathering my documents, preparing the visa issues, and I'm working on all these issues at the same time to somehow succeed and achieve all of them and finish everything with great results.
Wow, great. Congrats again with the Kectil Armenia Center. And of course, congratulations with your master's degree, and hope that everything will go well with your visa and you will get approval for that. I wish you luck with all studying process, because I know how it's hard to studying a master's degree. I'm just lucky person that I already finished. I don't want to back to university. I like it. I enjoyed the process of studying, but right now I have more important projects what to do and working with my clients. So I'm really excited to hear more and more about that. But we have a bit limited time for our today's discussion. And in the end of our interviews, we have a little tradition. But before that, I would like to ask you about what message would you like to deliver to the representatives of nations perpetuating war and sustaining conflicts in the present day?
Yeah, that is a really important question, and I would like to all that governments that are fighting the wars to hear that. I would say that they should reconsider and understand that the only way of development, prosperity, strength is the peace. The war and the occupation of foreign territories, killing of other nations will never be accepted by international community and the world.
Thank you very much. And at the end of our interview, as I mentioned, we have a small tradition. And following on our small tradition, I would like to ask you, what do you, with the young leaders who are watching us today, what advice would you give them?
I would say embrace challenges as opportunities. Failures as stepping stones, and the differences as strength. Lead with courage, listen with intent, and never underestimate the power of collaboration. And above all, let your actions guided by a vision of brighter, kinder, and more peaceful world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Edward, for your time and for this really good and inspired message and wishes, and for our inspiring conversation and interview today. Hope you enjoyed it, because I already learned a lot from you about Armenia, about this conflict, and I got some advices how to bring peace even in my country. Hope our viewers also got a lot of insightful thoughts from you. And before finishing, I remind our viewers that it is important for us to see your support and activity on the channel. So do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our Kectil YouTube channel. Thank you, Edward, once again for today's conversation.